What is up, guys? Welcome to Outlawed Thoughts, episode 47. Kareem will be joining me here shortly. I think he was in the middle of a phone call, and I wanted to go ahead and get things started. JC, hey, thanks for sticking around in chat. I was just on the Punk Rock Libertarians about an hour ago. I also did their bonus show, so go check that out if you hadn't. It was a really fun show. Got talking about UFOs and living in Alaska and all that kind of stuff. Going to cover a little bit of stuff here tonight that crosses over, specifically in the realm of uh, UFOs and weird things that go bump in the night, stuff like that that's been going on. We're going to talk about the Ohio train derailments a little bit, some conspiracies I have around that. And we'll talk about some clown world stuff. We'll see what's trending on Twitter. Go watch some video clips, stuff like that. Seems to be the normal show. Try to do probably 40, 45 minutes, unless we hit something super interesting. Hey, Benzo, thanks for hanging out. So we'll start tonight with kind of the LP Mises Caucus putting out a video talking about the stuff going on in Ohio. That video is now over 3 million views. We're up to 3.3 million views, 1,700 quote tweets. So that video has gotten some widespread, which is great. Almost 20,000 retweets. So it's one of the better performing uh, tweets I've seen. You should have fucking shot it. Yeah, I don't have any guns that reach that far, unfortunately. um, so we'll watch the video that the Mises Caucus put out. I've got AP article describing what went on there. I've also got a ABC News article that came out recently, updated the amount of chemicals that were on the train because the amount that was originally thought was incorrect. And then I've got a story from Politico, Fox News, or I'm sorry, from Fox News talking about a theory that I have around um, why this derailment happened in the first place, or what maybe the narrative is going to be coming out of it. A little bit more conspiratorial, but we'll get into that. Starting out, we'll go ahead and watch this Mises Caucus video, the train derailment and stuff. I kind of want to wait for Kareem, so maybe we'll just talk about some UFO fuckery for a minute in general. So, everybody has been hearing about the UFOs that have been flying around everywhere, especially over Alaska, Canada, Yukon territory, that business. I think most of this stuff is bullshit, and there's a lot of reasons for that. Um, for instance, it appears like these things are all drones, balloons, things along those lines, which my guess is, this is just what I'd say, is these things were already known, were already flying around for a long time. And the reason that they're choosing to make these locations public and to publicly destroy them and do this is for funding for the military industrial complex, to pad the pockets because of the whole wars and things that they're trying to keep going, especially this whole Ukraine business. And I think that furthermore, they want to posture towards China. They want to posture towards these other countries. So it makes strategic sense. You've got the Epstein lists, which Benzo Barbie has brought up here. Yeah, because they're dropping the Epstein list. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people saying that. We talked about that on Punk Rock Libertarians. I haven't actually seen any evidence that the Epstein lists are coming out. People keep saying that they're going to be released, but nothing's actually being released. Today was Monday, so I would suspect that they were going to do anything, it would have gotten done today because this is when courts opened back up, things along those lines. It didn't take place. So I'm not sure what everybody's actually talking about when they say that these files are getting released. It does seem like a great distraction away from what's going on in Ohio, a good distraction away from what's going on economically in the country, as well as the funding aspect of it. The fact that the FBI is asking for more funding, the military is trying to stop funding from being cut. So I think a lot of the stuff we're seeing right now is um, a facade, a fugazi, a fake, a fucking. It's not real. But there are, of course, legitimate UFO things that go on all the time, especially here in the state of Alaska. Those things I don't want to take any credence away from. I do believe that there are legitimate sightings of things all the time, whether or not those are UFOs or whether they're U.S. crafts that are being experimented with, especially when you're talking about the state of Alaska, Arizona, these places where those things are known to be tested. I have to take those sightings with a big grain of salt onto whether or not they're actually some kind of alien UFO, or whether or not it's just the government testing a new fucked up toy. I'm drinking Tito's tonight, by the way, with hibiscus juice. It's a great combo. Mm-hmm. So Project Bluebeam is a thing I've been seeing people talk about here recently. I'm not sure how many of you guys realize where the origins of that thing come from, but Project Bluebeam was basically cooked up by one dude. Um, it was cooked up by one guy who wrote a book, mentioned that this thing existed, and went from there. So there isn't much. Now, here's the thing. I think something like Project Blue Beam could happen, absolutely. But that whole idea dips into this whole one world religion idea and things like that. I don't think that's what this is. Tito's is from Texas, yes. And then Benzo said she tweeted me something. I'll check that out real quick. The Daily. Oh. Okay. So yeah, we'll go ahead and check this out because this seems interesting. All right. So this was from, looks like Daily Mail, an excerpt. Benzo Barbie just sent this over to me on Twitter. Now, the Daily Mail reported that the material is expected to be made public in the coming months, nearly 4 years after Epstein took his own life while incarcerated in a New York federal correctional facility. The documents are expected to contain the names of associates, victims, and employees connected to Epstein. They refer to alleged perpetrators or those accused of serious wrongdoing, as well as law enforcement officers and prosecutors. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if this is true and if something is going to come out. Can link you the whole article from Fox News. No, it's fine. I trust that people are talking about it. I saw there was an ABC article about it. I saw there was a bunch of people on Reddit talking about it. I just haven't seen any of the documents. I see a lot of people talking about them coming out, and I'm wondering where they're all at. Hey, Hector. Hector Ruse in the chat. Yeah, but it'll be interesting to see if those documents do come out. I definitely think if it was a distraction, this whole UFO thing was a distraction for those documents, I would wonder why they wouldn't be doing it when they were actually released. Why this is all taking place now. Yeah, and it says months, so who knows? Yeah, it could be a while, but it'll be interesting to see how it goes. All right, well, no Kareem yet, so we're gonna go ahead and jump into some stories here. We'll cover this. We'll start out with the Mises Caucus video that was put out of the derailment stuff, and then we're gonna talk a little bit about what's been happening there, and some little bit of theory that I have. A little bit of 1 second. Sorry, guys. I just accidentally closed out the video for the Ohio thing, so I'm having to go grab that again. Just bear with me for one moment. Okay, here it is. All right, so we had this video put out by the Mises Caucus. They said Alan Dershowitz and Prince Andrew are on there confirmed. Yeah, well, Dershowitz that guy's dirty, and he was involved with a lot of the Alaska shit going on and stuff too. I have a whole file on that dude. Let's go right here. There we go. Okay.
Massive train derailed Friday.
Watch this video. Has some heartstringy music to it, but the video itself is pretty informative, so we'll go through this.
Massive train derailed Friday, 20 of them carrying hazardous materials as flames lit up the sky in northeastern Ohio.
The evacuation order is in place for anyone within a mile radius of the crash site.
These aren't storm clouds. This is the fucking shit! The fucking shit they burn off in East Palestine! This is not fucking storm clouds! Look at it!
This is horrible. Because I got arrested because I was trying to do a live report about what people need to know.
Officials are claiming that the air and water are safe. Residents say they can still smell chlorine. They've complained about their eyes watering when they go outside, and one woman says the noxious air killed her chickens.
Out of nowhere, he just started coughing really hard and just shut down and went very fast.
Look at all these fucking crows. I'm not kidding.
This is within 10 miles of East Palestine.
If you have not evacuated, please leave the area.
So I could tell you, like seeing the crows and things like that in the videos, that's stuff that really spooks me out. Here in Alaska, we have a huge bird population, crows especially. They are very territorial warning birds, so they will leave if ever there's a problem. And seeing them swarming like that tells me that there's something in the air that's making them do that. You see what's going on over there, and we'll go through this AP story here that goes through what the actual events were that transpired. So this is coming from the AP. Toxic gases connected to Ohio train derailment cause concern. Cause a hell lot more than that. Days after crews released and burned toxic chemicals transported by a wrecked train in Ohio, residents remain concerned about the toxic substances that could be lingering in their evacuated neighborhoods. About 50 cars, including 10 carrying hazardous material, derailed in a fiery crash Friday in East Palestine. According to rail operator Norfolk Southern and the National Transportation Safety Board, vinyl chloride was slowly released into the air Monday from 5 of those cars before being ignited, before crews ignited it to get rid of the highly flammable toxic chemicals in a controlled environment, creating a dark plume of smoke. Residents in the immediate area and their nearby in Pennsylvania were evacuated beforehand because of the health risks from the fumes and can't yet return Wednesday as the impact burning vinyl chloride is a concern. What is vinyl chloride? The gas is used to make polyvinyl chloride hard plastic resin in plastic products, and it is found in products such as credit cards, furniture, and car parts, but is most notably used in PVC plastic piping, a common material for plumbing. Is it dangerous? Vinyl chloride is associated with increased risk of liver cancer and other cancers, according to the federal government's National Cancer Institute. The effects was studied in PVC pipe makers who breathed in vinyl chloride and developed rare live cancers, said Ruth Lunn, who studies carcinogens at the National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences. If you worked longer, you had a higher risk, and if your exposure levels were high, you had a higher risk, Lunn said. Vinyl chloride is dozens of times more toxic per molecule than the U.S. banned insecticide DDT, but more dangerous per part than ammonia and natural gas, according to the federal regulations that dictate acceptable levels in the air. So this is the situation as we go along. Then there was a updated story. This updated story coming from ABC. And we're going to go over this here. This is recent. This is 6 hours ago. And this is reporting the fact that there were more toxic chemicals on the train that derailed in Ohio than originally reported, data shows. There were more chemicals aboard the train that derailed in Ohio than originally reported, new data shows. State health officials were initially concerned about the presence of vinyl chloride, a highly volatile, colorless gas produced for commercial uses, which spilled after about 50 cars on a Norfolk Southern Railroad train derailed in East Palestine, Ohio on February 3rd. While traveling from Illinois to Pennsylvania, other toxins like phosgene and hydrogen chloride were emitted in large flumes of smoke during a controlled release and burn, prompting officials to issue mandatory evacuation orders in a 1-mile radius of the crash site. A list of the cars that were involved in the derailment and products that were carrying released by Norfolk Southern reveal several more toxic chemicals that were released in the air and soil following the crash. Among the substances were ethylene glycol, monobutyl ether, um, ethylene glycol, monobutyl ether, ethiexyl acrylate, I don't know how to pronounce these, and isobutylene were also in the rail cars that were derailed, the list shows. Contacted with can cause burning, irritation, skin and eyes, inhalation, can irritate the nose and throat, causing shortness of breath and coughing, according to the Centers of Disease Control. So I want to talk a little bit about my life experience with this. My father worked with cleanup crews for the railroad, and it's one of the reasons why to this day. Oh, hey, we got a Kareem. Hey, can you hear me? Well, I have a Kareem on screen, but I cannot hear him, guys, so it is what it is. So my dad worked for the railroad company for a short while. When he worked for the railroad company, is just antifreeze, ethylene glycol. Okay, that makes sense. So my dad worked for the railroad company for a short while doing cleanup stuff for random crap. And there was a big crash that happened over here in Alaska. He was part of the crew that went and cleaned it up. And it's why today he has issues with COPD and asthma and a lot of other health issues. So this shit is serious stuff. And the fact that the EPA burned it is a complete fuck up on their part. But it's also completely in line for what the EPA has done historically. And we talked about this on the previous show I was on. But the EPA has fucked up like this over and over and over and over again. It is nothing new. So it is what it is, and we're going to have to pick up the pieces and figure out what to do after the fact. But I do think it's cause to concern for why the EPA should be stripped of some of its control in these environments and why the local state and officials should be handling it. I'll bring up this story here, and with this whole adding chemicals to the mix. And what this shows me is that the EPA and the train companies were putting multiple chemicals on these same trains, which of course is going to increase the chance that you have some kind of chemical chain reaction when there is a crash. So they're just increasing the odds that something bad is going to happen by having multiple chemicals on the same train like that. And it makes me question why those standards were not already in place for the businesses that are operating that way. Kareem, I don't know if you can hear me, but we can't hear or see you. So just a quick warning. I'm not sure if he's just having audio issues or whether he's still on the phone or something. But yeah. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about this because I have this other story here, and this is where we get into the sort of more okay, we have a chat here. Look up old advertisements for DDT and let me know how serious the FDA was about public safety. Yeah, we can actually look the old DDT ads. I'm sure there's some good ones I can find here. Oh, here we go. Yeah, we'll watch this video. We'll see what the government thought of DDT. And JC, thank you for that chat. This is a great idea. But this is perfect. Do you trust the government?
With the possibility of a serious infantile paralysis epidemic, health authorities of the city of San Antonio, Texas, attacked the germ carriers throughout the city. With the war-discovered DDT in special sprayers, sections of the city are blanketed with the insecticide in the fight to stop the spread of the dread poliomyelitis. Every suspected spot is sprayed.
The medical officer explains that buildings treated with DDT remain effective against mosquitoes for about 3 months. The Africans at first are not very impressed. Some are afraid that the DDT will poison them, while others suspect some sort of witchcraft. The entomologist calls for a bowl of porridge. This is sprayed with the solution in full view of the audience.
Wild. That is
He now
fucking
eats
wild.
several spoonfuls of the mixture to show that the contaminated food is harmless.
That guy's dead as fuck.
Even this fails to convince the audience. Arab Kipkoy is the chief spokesman and states his objections with eloquence. He says that the new medicine is a bad poison that may exterminate the whole tribe.
Yeah. Definitely doesn't seem like the government had too much protection in place for that stuff. Oh, here it is. I found the article or the ad you were talking about there, JC. Look at that. Took me some digging. Remember, kids, they say the science says it's safe. DDT is good for me. There you go. Hey.
Hey, sorry, I had some technical issues, kind of like Ohio.
Yeah, I was just talking about the whole train derailment thing there, and I'm gonna cover kind of what I think some of these trail derailments might be for. So I was talking about this on Punk Rock Libertarians, but I think what happened is the Democrats realized that the running base for 2024 in the Democratic side is actually fairly small. It's easily consumed. It's easily controlled. You have basically Biden and Kamala Harris as the only two people right now that are actually like talking about running for the Democrats. The only other one that was in the mix was Pete Buttigieg, Mayor Pete Buttstuff. And so I believe that a lot of these derailments are strategically being pushed into the media and strategically maybe even caused as a way of removing Buttigieg from the 2024 presidential pool and as completely backstrapping him for the future if he wants to try to get into any other bigger positions. I think it puts us in a position where now they can flood the news with the Ohio stuff. They can flood the news with the UFO stuff. They can flood the news with all this stuff to cover up what we were talking about previously with the Epstein stuff, as well as using this whole UFO thing to cover up the Ohio stuff in return. So I think we're witnessing one of the largest narrative shifting events of just media cover-up, government cover-up action being taken. I think the Ohio stuff is being covered up because the rail unions were striking and there were all these problems in that regard just a few months ago. And now all of a sudden there's a bunch of trails derailing. I think it's suspicious. I think it's suspicious that these UFOs are a complete farce and that in reality we're just looking at a bunch of balloons that the government has known about for a very long time that they're just now deciding to strategically do when they need funding. And so I think we're looking at one big op.
I think we're always looking at one big op, honestly. Just what op is it? I think it's interesting, though, that people are getting distracted by a balloon and UFOs and things like that when there's a million other things going on, like the train derailments, and people have to say that, like, wow, this is pretty bad. Like, people are saying, actually, I've seen comparisons to Chernobyl to this.
Well, we watched the Mises Caucus video, which is up to 3.4 million views now. So that got seen by a lot of people, and that video lays out that this is not some small event. There were mushroom cloud full on. I mean, it looks like a nuclear war zone, the aftermath, plume cloud, everything. and it's affected other areas. So this is a lot worse than they're letting on to be. And historically, what the EPA does here is they come in and say everything's fine, and then the people move back in, and then 10, 20 years later, when everybody starts dropping dead of cancer, they just come in and throw some pennies at it and act like it never happened. So I think people will need to be more aware that that's going to be what takes place here. They're going to attempt to brush this under the rug.
Do you think? Well, I guess now that I'm here, let's get conspiratorial. Do you think the powers that be, the deep state, is derailing trains to destroy the food supply, and to destroy?
No, I don't think this has anything to do with the food supply. I saw some people talking about the fact that some of the chemicals that were in the trains are linked to like growing operations and things like that. The reality is, I think there were a series of train strikes which caused an upheaval in the people that were running the trains. The Biden administration is still dealing with the train strikes. And so what I believe happened is sloppy regulations that were unrestricted recently on those train routes by the government. Whether or not you think this was done nefariously or not, I probably lie on the side of it being nefarious. But for some reason, the government loosened the restrictions on the train routes that were there in that area, which resulted in these accidents and derailments happening. And this was all done within months. So it appears like the government wanted these accidents to happen. And if that's the case, then who did it and why? And the only reason I can come up with is the political angle.
No, I don't know the reason. I know what people are going to say. You blame everything on Klaus Schwab. Well,
I thought you were going to say the Jews.
No. Klaus Schwab actually is a Rothschild. But
is he really? I didn't know that.
I think I looked at that. I mean, I can't prove that exactly, but here's the thing.
I mean, he's a lizard, so it fits.
Yeah, I mean, I do believe. Do you believe that?
No. I don't. I mean, here's the thing. I think the whole, like, we were talking about Hollow Earth.
Queen and Schwabi shapeshift.
Yeah. Let's look at this. Liberals think the EPA exists to regulate corporations and protect the average citizen. The EPA exists to run cover for corporations and give normies a false sense of security. Yeah, you couldn't have put that better, JC. It is a system that allows the government to pretend like they're doing something when they're not. And then when something does happen, they can pretend like the savior for not even fixing the problem.
Like the TSA.
Exactly like the TSA, right? Well, what happened when the TSA was actually put to the test? They allowed suspicious items and actual bombs during those tests to be passed through where they could have been used on American citizens. They proved live that their jobs were not adequate to do the protection that they claimed to do. So what do you actually get from the TSA? Well, you get a false sense of security. You get a false sense of, well, we can protect you. When in reality, if somebody wanted to blow up a plane, it could be easily done from the ground. They no longer need to get on there with a fucking underwear bomb. The reality is terrorism exists because of the United States. Terrorism in the West exists because of what the United States does in other countries. So there's no reason to blow up a plane unless you start bombing children in Iraq and Afghanistan. So just stop doing that.
Yeah, and look at all those places. Yeah, imagine that. Hey, easy solution. But here's what I'll say. They always want I'm trying to figure this out. They keep saying a climate crisis will happen. I feel this is part of like what they're trying. I do feel there are nefarious people like, let's destroy the environment.
Here's another angle that's getting covered up by this UFO stuff. Did anybody notice that the entire fucking internet took a shit like a week ago? That Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, everything was down? And that just happens to be a few months after the fucking New World Order cocksuckers, Klaus Schwab and all the rest of them, were at Davos discussing the fact that they're going to create that the biggest threat we have is terrorism through the internet and taking out all the grids and stuff. What if the distraction right now is that stuff is being put in place? That in the next few years, we are going to see the internet be weaponized. We're going to see communities be struck where, what if what happens in Ohio, what was going on in Ohio, Palestine, East Palestine, Ohio, What if what was happening there was in the middle of a social media blackout and you could not access the media if you lived there?
Yeah.
If you couldn't get on social media and send videos to the Mises Caucus or put them out there for that video to get made. Then you have a situation where they can affect the U.S. population and create an artificial dead zone where nobody in that place will be able to tell anybody about the things being done to them.
I honestly think they're trying to do stuff. I mean, he even has that thing. Imagine the sting of a cyber attack. The COVID-19 crisis would be a small disturbance. I'm a Bond villain. Ha ha ha. Okay, I get it. Also, what does the Mossad think of Ohio East Palestine? Do you like that name?
I saw, so when I first saw the shit in Ohio, I just saw Palestine train derailment. And the first thing that popped in my head was, they have trains in Palestine? I'm going like, oh, that might be why the Jews are mad. Wait a minute. Oh. No, I actually just recorded a thing about the Israel-Palestine stuff that I'm going to be releasing tonight on Twitter. So,
ooh, I'm looking forward to that. You got to send me that video. But I have good news on that. Good news on front. Scott Ritter dropped out. So
yeah, I saw that. So we can talk about that briefly. Shout out to Sean Russell. I don't know if I've seen you in chat.
But one thing, well, good and bad news. Scott Ritter dropped out, but Daniel McAdams put out a tweet, and it was harsh. He's like, you guys are dead to me. Don't claim to be the party of Ron Paul. And I was talking with my vice chair about that, and people. I'm like, so what do we say doing that? And I said, Kareem, don't worry. Like, Ron Paul didn't say that. He said that.
Yeah.
And he's
so I want to make some comments on that because I saw the whole Twitter exchange and the whole shit show. Daniel McAdams, I think he's going on Tower Gang. I'm sure something will be talked about this in a few days, but
I'm sure.
Reality, last I checked, Daniel McAdams is not Ron Paul. He doesn't speak for another man. I don't care how old he is or what his situation is. Ron Paul is Ron Paul. As far as the situation with Ritter, that guy never should have been invited to this event in the first place. His name never should have been in the discussion. My understanding is his name did not come from anybody involved in any side of anything I'm on. So as far as I'm concerned, the guy can take a flying fucking leap. If he wants to talk about stuff in Iraq and Afghanistan and the problems with war, great. Be anti-war.
But he's not even anti-war, just to point that out.
Here's the thing, From what I understand, this guy has taken a position of being on Russia's side to an extent in the Russia-Ukraine conflict, which to me is the incorrect position to fucking have. The Russians are fucking evil, right? Okay, like that's the reality. They're invading force in another country. It doesn't matter whether I don't like what NATO did or whether I don't like what the UN did or whether I don't like how the West is dealing. The same way that I look at Israel-Palestine is the same way that I have to look at Russia-Ukraine or any of these other situations. You do not have a right to invade somebody else's country unless they've done something to provoke you directly.
Okay, I will say this. There were biolabs that existed. I'm not saying...
Okay, but here's the thing, right? Okay, I understand all of this. The West could put a goddamn military base in the middle of Ukraine, and if Ukraine agrees to it, Russia does not have a right to bomb Ukraine because they allow another country to build something within their own. That is their right as an independent country.
I get it. it. I'd say this. The Russians are evil. All states are evil. I mean, okay, I get it.
But do you think for a second I would come out and support Nazi Ukrainians or the Azov battalion scum that are running around with the people over there that are supposedly fighting a quote-unquote just war when it is clearly not? I am not on either side of that fence. I think they're both shitheads.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're Jewish would make you against that. So,
well, it's not even just that. The Azov battalion are I mean,
Nazi
you can see the videos and things that are coming out of the country there. They're beating prisoners. They are a war criminal organization at this point.
Well, they're Nazis. I mean, they're
no different than the IMF. They are no different than what is being done to mosques and Palestinian children and people that I watch on the Israeli.
Or you mean the IDF? The IDF.
Yeah, whatever.
So I mean, I think they're both bad, and I get it. And that's why I get sick of a lot of people, because a lot of people always pick a side. The left is like, oh my God, I'm putting the flag in my bio, and Zelensky won, the thing on Time, or was on the Time magazine. Isn't that great? And we need to give them aid. And then there's
JC
people
is just hitting fucking three-pointers tonight.
And then
the
the
right is
right,
hopelessly susceptible to reactionary thinking. It's
then the right just is like, well, Putin's a good guy, he's a tough guy, he's fighting a new world order. I'm like, really? Because he's part of BRICS, and I think
he's part of all these organizations. He doesn't like free market capitalism. This is not a good guy. Russia's government are not good people. I think a lot of the right has been tricked into this because of the idea of orthodoxy, and they like the idea of the Russian Orthodox Church. That's fine. You can be into the religion side of it, but do not let the sins of that country and the actions of that country cloud your fucking judgment, because they are 100% just as evil as the people they're fighting. Both sides are horrible. The fact is that the only people winning in this exchange is the West, because they're making all the money off of the loans that they're going to hand out to these smaller countries so that they can militarize. They're going to hand out loans to Germany, hand out loans to Poland, hand out loans to France and all these European countries. All of that money is going to be being kicked back to us so we can pretend like our fucking dollar isn't destroyed. This is how the U.S. is keeping us satiated with this infinite bloodlust.
Not to poke you with a stick, but maybe Maloney, looking at this, would be smart to leave NATO.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anybody would be smart to... No, this situation has put NATO in a position where it is time for other countries to recreate friendly pacts. Whether this is
what?
Whether this is the BRICS system or whether it is other systems entirely. What right now NATO has done is proven that even if you sign into this organization, they cannot protect the people that they're claiming to protect. So what is the point?
I get it. NATO's bad, but I don't feel you fix alcohol. I don't feel you fix undereating with overeating, or vice versa. So I don't like BRICS either. I mean, the reason I get it, the reason I advocate for ANCOM, ANCAP, and PRIM mutualist unity, I think I'm getting some success there, even though some people got mad and said you're crazy. That's fine, is because I want to see decentralized communities work together, not nation states. So
sorry, I had to grab
I don't want other countries to sign. I was very mad when Egypt was trying to if I could.
Egypt is a puppet for Israel. It's just, Egypt doesn't fucking exist. They haven't since the 60s.
I mean, I have family there.
I know, but that's just the reality. The government is just it's just
Anwar,
a tool.
Sadat, and Sisi and Mubarak was all garbage. But they were trying to join BRICS, or they're finalizing stuff with BRICS. I'm like, no. And I don't like Saudi Arabia. Here's the thing, and Saudi Arabia is part of this, and Turkey's part of everything, and I'm just tired of national pacts or globalist pacts or anything like that. I'm tired. The only unity I want is like small coalitions. Like I do.
All right, here's the thing, right? I understand what you're saying, but say you are Ukraine. Right? Okay. You're a country that's right next to Russia, and Russia not really being friendly because of what the West is doing with you. But if you go against what the West is doing, now you're an enemy of the fucking West and Germany and all the other countries that are on the other side of you. So Ukraine was equally fucked no matter what decision they made. They could have aggressed in the Donbass. They could have chosen to give it up. It wouldn't have mattered. They were put in between a rock and a hard place from a war sense or a military sense. So what ends up going on is the West is fully aware of that going into it. They know that they're putting Ukraine in a position where they have to choose between Russia or the West. And if you choose Russia, it means that you're Russian and you lose your Ukrainian identity or whatever you want to fucking call it.
I got a plan though. I got a fix for you. See there, I'm going to be ANCAP doctor here. You don't give up your nukes, and you say, hey, we got 3 authors. We got this 4. We got Murray Rothbard, Peter Leeson, Bakunin, and Malatesta. Here, everybody, here you go, Malatesta thing. All right, we're going to get rid of the president. We're going to get rid of our state governments and our local governments, and let's read these books and get it all together. And we got nukes, so if you guys try something, we'll kill you. How about that? Does that sound good?
Well, okay, so here's the thing, right? So what could Ukraine have done? Well, one of the options Ukraine could have done is Ukraine could have made a pact with Russia before any of this shit started. They could have made an individual pact of protection or some kind of form of new ownership over who controlled the airspace, things like that. They could have let them control ports and things. But the reality is the West didn't want that. The West actively wanted this war. Ukraine didn't. And that's what I think people are missing. Zelensky is a puppet. He was put in control of that entire country by the West. So what he is saying is not what the Ukrainian people actually want. So why everybody in the libertarian, Republican, Democratic space everywhere would take what Zelensky is saying when he says we are going to war and we're going to fight and win and all this stuff at face value is beyond me. In reality, the Ukrainian people are saying we don't want a war at all. We would have much rather negotiated this thing before any of this began, and instead the West and the Ukrainian government that was put in place by the West are putting all of our lives at jeopardy. And so the end of that is the end of the war, but I'm also a realist, and I recognize that ain't going to fucking happen. There is no end to this war now. From my understanding, around 35 to 50% of Ukraine is basically flatlined. And you're going to end up with a position where either Russia is going to fight this war long, and this is going to become the West's new Afghanistan, which is exactly what I think Biden wanted to do when he got rid of the old one, or this is going to be a war that ends with Russia assaulting the country to the point of no return. You are going to see casualties like no fucking other, because eventually you're going to back the Ukrainians up to 1 or 2 cities, 1 or 2 positions, to the point where you're going to be shooting at fleeing targets quite literally. And that's the position that the West is racing towards. They're betting that there's this big show that they can use as an excuse to start World War III before Ukraine gives up. And so they want to start the Third World War. They want to start a new world war. This is...
I'm sure they do.
Sam Tripoli recently said on his podcast, recently said on one of his shows that we need like a bunch of 9/11s. And I think that is exactly what we're moving towards. They want something on a massive fucking scale that they can use it as excuse to start bombing a bunch of people. Whether that's a terrorist event here in the U.S. or if that's a giant culling of people in Ukraine, I don't think matters at this point.
You know what I think it could be 2 things. It could be it could be a huge thing in Ukraine, or they could try EMP attacks, and that
would fit the bill of what the New World Order fucks are saying there. And Davos.
I mean that's ironically here. I'm not saying. Here's what I'm saying. I guess. Kind of like how I listen to a lot of Austrian economists and I come out with these ideas and I would implement them into policy, and I probably will after I run for school board, which is kind of an announcement I haven't made. I'll make that later. But then if I run for state house and things, yes, I would get my ideas from Bob Murphy, Dr. Leeson, people like that. But these guys seem to, Gavin Newsom, case in point, World Economic Forum, we want to ban personal ownership of cars. California, no gas cars till 2035. They know for a fact not everybody can afford electric cars, and if they could, the power grid couldn't handle it. So it seems to me these Davos people are like, they own the politicians. They go there to get their orders. I mean, it's clear they're walking. They go there to get their orders. They get their orders, and then they enact.
This episode policies. Is sponsored by Tito's Texas vodka.
Nice.
That's
you're drinking. You're drinking instead of smoking weed. What the heck, man?
I took a rip of dabs earlier. I am completely crossfaded. That's why these rants are flowing out of me instead of me having to script it.
You want to
I
read
have to
Anarchist?
get to the right level of fucked up before I can rant.
Do you want to read Bakunin or Maltesta?
I think I'm gonna indulge in the new Count Dankula just put out like a 2 hour and 15-minute new video on the world's most wanted hacker. So I'm gonna watch that. Texas vodka for the win. Yes, Tito's is actually my go-to drink. I've been drinking these tiny bottles for years. These they're like hand-sized. I love Tito's because instead of making a smaller bottle, it's shaped like a fifth, like that classic bottle shape. They did something different. But yeah, Tito's is made in Austin, Texas, and I eventually want to go visit them. I was going to go visit the place where it's made last time, but you can go take like a tour and stuff, which I thought would be a cool idea. There's a ton of Texas makes horrible whiskey, but they have some good vodka over there. I'll give them that. But Benzo, Texas has got some of the worst whiskey I have ever personally consumed. Comes from that state. I don't know what is wrong with you people. No, I have family from Texas. So Alto, Texas. I don't know. Benzo, actually, you could tell me in there in the chat. Yeah, Austin, I've heard is horrible. My family lived in Alto, Texas. My grandma was a rangerette. I'm sure somebody from Texas will know what the rangerettes are, but I didn't. It's like a dancing group that does like performances at the Macy's Day Parade and all that shit. And my grandma was one of those. She's actually in the museum in Alto, Texas. And I had family that lived over there. They all died. And now the judge in Alto, Texas, who was my second cousin, owns all the ranches and land over there. But our family grew up. They had oil money because there was oil on the land in Alto. They had a ranch that was like 300 acres. Like,
call him and be like, bro, you got ranches and you got oil. You're like, I'm listening. Start an anarchist commune. He's like, okay.
The over-the-top COVID lockdown fear-mongering of 2020 probably taught the elites that even the level of propaganda wasn't strong enough. Imagine what they have in store for us next. This is coming from JC in the chat. To really push us towards full-blown technocracy. Yeah, technocracy is, I think, the best term for it. I think that's definitely what we're heading towards. I see... AI, people talk bad about AI and stuff. I don't know necessarily that I'm against AI at this point. I actually find it pretty awesome. I've toyed around with the Chat GPT stuff. And my take on it is that, and I have a better way of telling this to everybody now, because I heard this put in a very great way. And so I'll put that. Oh, no shit. You're not that far from Alto at all. Okay, awesome. Yeah, I visited that area a bunch, and I have family up that way. So that's I've probably driven through where you're at, possibly. But no, I think that what was I talking about? Shit.
Adam's in the comments saying
the Kilgore College. That's who that's exactly who I'm talking about, Benzo. What was I talking about? I was talking about
talking about Texas and specifically like technocracy and AI.
Oh, so I think I've used Chat GPT and those AI services and things. And from what I've learned, and this is what I'll say, and I heard this said on a podcast that was not mine. It was on the Some Ordinary podcast. Great show to listen to if you like fun stuff. But they put this in a great way. Chat GPT is just like Google in a sense. And I'm going to explain this in a way. So we have all become incredibly good at Google searching topics. Yes. So if I go to Google search something, I know what to ask Google to give me a proper result. And Google that's a language model. Like you have to learn the language of Google and figure out how to develop your Google searching skills into getting the right result. But say I wanted to fit the chair that I'm sitting on in the back of my Nissan Sentra, right? How would I find that information out? I would go to Google and I would ask, how wide is the trunk of my 2006 Nissan Sentra? And it would give me the amount of inches. And then I would Google how long is the X brand X chair that I'm sitting in. And so I have to Google two things to get those results. And then I might have to Google a third thing because maybe there's a depth or I need to figure out how to set off a sensor, whatever. or I need to look up how to find the brand of the chair, or whatever. So you might have 2 or 3 points of contact to get to your final result. With AI, and with ChatGPT in particular, I can ask it the question in a certain way to make it answer it all at once. I don't have to go make multiple searches. I can say, this is the brand of chair I have. This is the Nissan Sentra. Will it fit? And the AI will be able to tell me whether or not that's true, because it can make those searches simultaneously. It can figure out the answer much faster than I would be able to on my own. That is the application that I think this kind of AI is going to eventually fill. It will be more of a Google Plus in a sense, where I will be able to go to the AI, I'll be able to ask it a question, it's going to give me an answer, but I'm going to have to learn how to ask that question. I'm going to have to learn how to get the correct response or answer that I want. But once you do, I think you'll be able to get a very detailed knowledge-based answer, because eventually the subset of what the AI will take in will grow to be much larger. I think people are scared because of how that can be applied, but I think that can also be applied in so many ways to make life much easier.
You make life better and much easier. I was playing with an AI DeFi project today, looking at it, and I'll tell you this. And from someone who's trained AI, basically you train AI on hundreds of thousands of millions of data sets and teach it. I'm not happy. Well, I'm not going to say I'm going full Ted Kaczynski here. If you've ever looked his manifesto, if you know who that is.
I've read his work.
I agree with him to some extent. I agree with people to other extent. I agree with, Elon Musk even said, like, AI could be like, you don't see an anthill as a problem, but if it's in your way, you'll crush it.
So can I say one thing real quick, and you can respond to this, and I think it'll get your conversation rolling easier. I actually agree with Ted Kaczynski. I think he is correct. I think the thesis of his entire paper is right. Here's the thing. It doesn't matter that he's right, because human nature, and this is what he misses, is that human nature is to develop technology. It is to continue to go forward in that sense. And what I mean by that is when you apply primitive ideas and you take, say, a subset of people from a group of people that have nothing to do with the outside system, right? Say you're talking about a group of 50 people in the middle of the woods that haven't really mixed with outer human life before, right? They're very primitive people. Now, let's say you introduce to those people the wheel. You know what they're going to do? They're going to develop the wheel, and they're going to start using it in their day-to-day life. Yeah. Why is that? It's because they saw something that has a utility, and their human lizard brain tells them to use that utility. That, to me, is within human nature. And I think Ted Kaczynski completely missed that in his view of things. And I have read his book. I think it's great. I think his writing has a little bit of stray to it. I don't think it's nearly as good as people give it credit. People like to talk about it as though it's some kind of gospel. I think he actually has some gobbledygook in there that just doesn't make sense.
He definitely does. I don't think Teddy K is like, the best writer or anything. He's not an Austrian.
Fucking JC, man. JC, you've got to come on the show. Yeah. We've got to get you on an episode. But humans are destined to fly too close to the sun.
But
that is a perfect quote to encapsulate what I was just talking about.
Okay. But, okay, fine. People can easily dismiss Ted because, he's just some crazy guy. Even they put...
I think he's incredibly smart.
The internet does it. They put him... Every picture of him is him in that mugshot. I'm like...
Have you ever seen The Net? The documentary The Net?
I have not.
I'm going to introduce you to something fun tonight. So when you're done with the show, write this down or whatever. Go on Chrome. I think you can do this on Google The Net documentary YouTube and find a video upload of it. There are videos of it on YouTube of the full documentary, so you don't have to pay for it. But The Net is a documentary that was made by this German guy about Ted Kaczynski and his life and who he was like, the whole thing and about how the MK Ultra stuff and all the internet shit tied into what he was trying to get done. It's an incredibly good documentary, and anybody in the chat who hasn't seen it, go watch it. It's a good watch.
We're gonna make a outlawed thoughts T-shirt. Hey, it's Teddy K.
I'm trying to find somebody who can build a website, because I am retarded when it comes to
I
building.
have a question. If Dave Smith did become president, or say like anybody else, Spike became president, or I got to Congress eventually,
Joe,
and he's alive, should he be pardoned?
Who?
Ted
Kaczynski? No, he killed people. You can't kill people. Listen.
I mean, Trump converted a Blackwater guy.
Yeah, I think those guys should be in prison too. That's the thing. That's what I think people miss. Is like, no, I don't think you can do what Ted did and get away with it. You should go to prison. You should get locked up. You sent bombs to people.
I mean, didn't he do that to mostly feds, from my understanding? Or no?
Yes, definitely check that out. The Net is something I recommend to people who are into Ted Kaczynski, because it's an interesting look at him, because it's not negative or positive. It's just laying out what happened in his life that caused him to get to that point. And it does it in a non-Netflix bullshit. It does have a lot of subtitles because the guy's German, and there's a lot of weird editing stuff, but it's a very good documentary.
So, hey, we like Teddy K. So, but wait, from my understanding, mostly, I haven't looked into who he mostly directed his aggression at feds. So
there were feds, a bunch of faculty at school stuff, and people like that. The problem is he was using bombs that anybody could have picked up or opened or done something with. I don't like what he did. I think what he was doing was ultimately wrong.
Sometimes you have weird hobbies, man. And
I don't believe in using force in that way.
I think
it is not the one with Sandra Bullock.
I think as a Congress, I'm not ever going to go for, but hell, if it ever happens, I think Congressman Mays and President Smith will be pardoning good old Teddy K, and then we'll have him on Outlawed Thoughts.
Well, I'd love to have him as a guest. I think he's like old as shit now.
Yeah, he's like 70 or something. We got 10 years. Can we get a libertarian in to pardon my boy? Or pardon Ross Ulbricht, Edward Snowden, Julian Assange, Daniel Hale, and hey, it's Teddy K. I mean, like,
what's funny is the cabin I grew up in with 7 people is only about 3 times the size of the cabin that Ted Kaczynski was living in as one person.
Yeah, see, he's a good guy.
I won't say that. I think he was right about some things. But again, this is the thing, is I think people miss the forest for the trees. Is Ted Kaczynski may have been right about his exact thesis, but it doesn't mean anything in the greater action of how things have played out. He missed the angle of human nature, and he missed the point of that we are already here. There is no going back. Once humans get a taste for advanced technology, for civilization, it becomes a bloodlust. They will literally kill you and rip you limb from limb to continue to have that technology, and they've done it historically hundreds of thousands of times.
Okay, how far does this go? Then do we go to transhumanism? I think there is a stopping point.
Dude, there is no theology that is going to take away from the fact that humans will fucking kill people if you have something better than them. Period. If you have a shiny rock, they're going to kill you and take the shiny rock. You need to be able to protect yourself.
But here's the problem I have. Here's the problem I have is that what the elites are doing, because they are technocrats.
Ted's brain was also fried by MK Ultra. Who knows how any of us would end up after that, to be fair. Yeah, you're 100% right. I mean, I've done LSD. LSD is a trippy fucking drug.
Yeah, you smoke weed all the time, so that.
Well, smoking weed is nothing. I've probably consumed 0.3 grams of dabs in the last 4 hours of podcasting.
That's insane, man. I would be like,
That would put most people in a fucking comatose. I am a big dude, and I consume a lot of marijuana.
I don't smoke. I don't smoke marijuana. I think I don't drink pop. But when
I
I
gave
get
you a shout out too on Punk Rock Libertarians. I gave you a shout out that you were going to the DC protests and stuff.
what did Auto say?
Go hang out with those guys because they'll be over there. That's Otto Danzig and a bunch of other people that are in
no, Otto and them. I used to read them quite a lot. I'm gonna go say hi and be like, hey, I'm Korean.
Go introduce yourself. Maybe go live while you're over with them or something. That'd be cool.
Maybe we can break Teddy K out of jail because he did nothing wrong. I'm gonna make that. There was a terrible Mountain Dew slogan someone made. They're like, Mountain Dew, put whatever slogan. And people put like someone did nothing wrong on a Mountain Dew bottle. I don't know if you saw that. And then I'm
libertarian evangelists won't prevent aggression. That's what guns are for. Yeah, I recently just got this is a gun talk on Outlawed Thoughts. I recently picked up a reasonably priced little Taurus Model 44. So I've got another 44 Magnum. That's my second one. And I just got a Mossberg 590 Shockwave. It's the tan Cerakote. Beautiful fucking shotgun, man. This thing, if this shotgun doesn't make your dick hard, you are impotent. This thing is, I'm gonna bring up a photo of it. It's beautiful. I put one of those Mossberg branded fucking grips over the top material. Dude, this thing is a hand cannon and it's only that long. It's a fucking beautiful gun. And then the Model 44 is just another. Again, I am a big guy. So there's a certain bit of awesomeness to me about being able to shoot a big gun because I have a big stature. I can shoot a 44 Magnum and it doesn't bother me at all. And I like the idea that if somebody fucks with me, they're going to get shot with something that it doesn't matter where I hit them. If I can hit somebody in their pinky toe with a 44 Magnum and they are out of the fight. That is the end of the discussion. So I like that. I know a lot of people bitch about people carrying revolvers as their concealed carry, but trust me, there is no level of scared that you will ever be in when you have a 44 Magnum as your sidearm. I can promise you of that.
Joe Vogler would be proud. He'd be like, all right, Leighton, take back Alaska.
Okay, what are your lessons? So this is actually an interesting question. So I have a few older knives that are like not branded. They're like handmade that were made by people locally in Alaska that have like bone or ivory handle. I think they're bone, but they could be ivory. I don't really know. But my like daily carry in my backpack and when I'm at work, I have a, I think it's made by Keltec it's a gun company, but it's like a neck knife, like karambit thing. That's really small. It's just like a 2-inch little blade that sticks out below your hand, which I like that because again, I'm somebody who's done boxing and stuff like that. I know how to scrap. So if I want a knife, I'm going to have a knife that I know how to use. And since those are movements that I'm doing a lot, I can come across and nick somebody, stuff like that. And then the other actual thing I have in my bag at all times is, I think it's made by SOG, but it's a pin. It's a pin spike. And the thing is fucking gnarly. It's huge. It's an actual pin. It works. But it's got a window breaker on it, which I carry because the state has a lot of water and stuff. You never know. And then it has a big fucking spike that if you hit somebody with, it'd be pretty... Imtech might be who makes the neck knife thing. Yes, that might be it. Yes, yeah. Actually.
Oh, man.
It's really cheap. It was a piece of shit. I picked it up because it's all metal. It's just a straight spike with the like 2-inch little knife that sticks out the bottom and then just a piece of metal for you to hold on to. And it just hangs around your neck.
Ah, very cool.
Yeah, it has carbon fiber scales, so it might be the same knife.
Dude, that's
That'd
sick.
be funny.
I'm gonna have to check that out whenever we hang out at whatever event.
We need to figure out like a convention to meet. What state are you in? You're in. Oh, that's right, PA.
PA.
When's your convention?
March 3rd to 5th. If you want to.
What does March 3rd fall on?
A Friday.
Friday, Saturday. Well, I might be able to figure that out. Maybe I could fly over for your convention.
Yeah, it's
kick it for 2 days. I know Michael Heiss has to be at that one, so that'd be cool to see him. I haven't actually got to meet him yet.
Yeah, and I'd love to go to any of the Florida events you're going to.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out when their convention is. I have to look it up and everything.
And then I have
when
to
is
talk.
Childerberg, Barbie?
Yeah.
Are you going to Childerberg? Barbie, are you going to be there? I don't think I've met you.
We need to go to a Florida event. You know why? Because we need to track down Ron DeSantis and be like, look, when you become president, there's this 80-year-old guy who wrote a great manifesto, great guy, made a couple mistakes. You know, we all make mistakes. Sometimes we send some bad things.
Okay, so hear me out. This is a Republican ticket. Rand Paul is president, Ron Paul is vice president.
That'd be awesome. Do you think Rand would pardon Teddy K?
No.
I guess I have to run for president.
Shit. Barbie's going to be at Childerberg. Are you going to go to Childerberg?
I don't know what Childerberg is.
They set up a meeting right outside where Bilderberg is, or wherever they have the Bilderberg meeting.
Oh, God.
May 26th to May 29th, so it's 3 days. Oh, shit.
Where is Bilderberg?
There's a website for Childerberg, but I'll look it up after the show.
I don't know if that sounds fun, though. I feel like you just get arrested.
No. This has been being done for years. They rent out a whole campground. It's kind of like Pork Fest, but a little bit smaller, from my understanding. It's actually pretty fun. I'd like to go to Pork Fest this year because I've never done it, and everybody keeps telling me it's a blast. Childerberg is outside of Austin. Okay, so it's near Texas. I could go up and visit family. It's in Texas Hill Country. Well, I have family in Texas Hill Country. This is the 5th year. So it's the 5th year that it's been going on. So you don't have to worry about getting fucking maced or nothing. But, I mean, I pack. And in taxes, I can bring my concealed carry. I'll bring fucking... concealed carry 44 while I'm vacationing in Texas? Fuck yeah. Absolutely. Texas has that base suppressor law. That's pretty cool. All right. Well, I think we'll end the show out here, everybody. This has been fucking awesome. We'll catch you guys in the next one, episode 48. Take it easy. We're approaching episode 50. I'm going to have to do something fun for that. Go follow Kareem on Twitter.
Something fun you could do.
Ooh. What?
You have Joe Vogler Appreciation Day. We're going to have Emo Chris Gaines on. We can have Vermin Supreme.
Supreme. This is Adam.
You know what?
You're welcome to bring one.
I have the perfect podcast for you. Teddy K, Vermin Supreme, and Adam Nutter.
That'd be pretty great. I have to edit it. All right, guys. Follow Kareem for Liberty on Twitter. Follow me at Liberty Layton. You gotta check out all that. And we'll be live episode 48 here probably tomorrow. Good night, JC. Good night, Sean, Russell, Benzo, Barbie, Adam, all of y'all. Take it easy. Peace.